welcome to this week's edition of the Pete Mezzetti Show. I'm Pete Mezzetti. We are on location on the shoreline at Luigi's Restaurant, and my guest this evening is Rich Borer, who is with Goodwill Industries.
Nice to see
Hey,
you.
Rich, how are you, bud?
It's always good to see you. Thank you.
What's new?
Not much. It's been going quite well, and I know I haven't been on the show in a while.
I know, I haven't seen you in a while.
And it's because we've been just really, really busy, and I apologize for that.
That's
but
okay.
we do have some new things happening in your viewing area that we're really excited about. And you know, every year that you have us on the show, we talk about Fantasy of Lights, which is our big holiday light display. It's at Lighthouse Park in New Haven.
Okay.
And we'll talk a little bit more about that. But I'm really excited about the boutique store that we're opening up in Old Saybrook.
That's
it's
right.
on the Boston Post Road, right down the street from where we're taping this right now.
Yeah.
And it's at 707 Boston Post Road on the backside of a strip plaza.
Yep.
And we're very excited about it. But originally we had opened that up because along the shoreline we get great donations.
Yes.
And these donations help to fund our mission and our programming and help to hire people to fulfill the mission of helping people that have barriers to work to help them to find work. And we do that by not asking for people for money, but we do that by asking people for donated goods, and then we sell these donated goods, and then we fund our programs.
Right.
The programs would include like group employment services, individual employment services. We help people that have barriers to work. We do community reentry work.
Okay.
But we're really excited about the store that will be opening up in Old Saybrook.
Okay.
It was initially just going to be a donation center.
Right.
And that donation center was going to be used to feed one of the largest stores that we have in our network is the Clinton store.
Yes.
Clinton store does really well. And we thought, well, you know, it's a kind of a long way for people from Old Saybrook to drive all the way to Clinton to donate. We should open up a donation center. So we negotiated with the landlord there. And then when we went to the town of Old Saybrook to let them know that we were going to be collecting donations here, the town said, well, you know, in order to be compliant with their regulations, you also have to have a retail store. And so we thought, okay, you know, the store isn't big enough for a retail store, but there are other Goodwills across the country that have had unique and very positive experiences with a boutique store.
Right.
And a boutique store is a smaller store where we take the best of our best stuff and we kind of just put it in the store. And so people that are looking for, you know, unique, lightly or gingerly worn items, you know, that would be the place that they would go. And so we'll be opening up there on the 14th of November. We're really excited about it. So if any of your viewers would like to donate, so there'll be one area of the building where you could donate items, and the other area of the building that you could go shopping if you'd like in the boutique store.
Now, as far as the merchandise in the boutique store is compared to, for example, the store in Clinton, will the merchandise change, or is it pretty much the same?
It would be, you know, the more higher end stuff would be in the boutique store. So it would be like, you know, higher end T-shirts like Led Zeppelin, collectible kind of things.
Gotcha.
It would be, you know, probably season related, you know, during the summer, probably be summer attire, in the winter, fall and winter attire. And related to the shoreline in some capacity. So if we get a donation anywhere in our network that has anything to do with Old Saybrook or the Connecticut River or anything having to do with that, we'll probably be putting it in that store. So women that come in to shop, there'll be a row of shoes and there'll be handbags, and then there'll be women wear. And then in the back will be for men, and maybe a small little sports section, and then electronics section. So we're really excited about it. We're going to hire about 9 people. So if anybody viewing this is looking for either a full-time, part-time job, you know, we'll be hiring folks, and we'll see how it goes. Really excited about it.
Now, is this the only boutique store in the system?
In mine, yes, it is. It's our first. And if I had to pick one area, you know, so we cover, you know, Connecticut, Rhode Island. We even have a store in Massachusetts.
Yep.
And if I had to pick one area for a boutique store, it would have been here.
Really?
So ironically, the whole thing just came together in a nice way.
Now, tell us a little bit about your background. How long have you been with Goodwill of Southern New England?
So I've been the president of Goodwill, I guess I'm going on 20 years. This is crazy.
Really?
You think about it.
No.
And I think I met you when Mal Gill was
Yes.
the former CEO.
That's right.
He had told me about you, and then
Mhm.
literally days after I became, and you
Yeah.
called, and I think I was on one of your shows the first
That's
time I was
right.
on the show.
That's right.
But yeah, so I've been on that for 20 years. Before that, for 14 years, I was the mayor of the city of West Haven.
I knew that.
Yeah, and so public service is really true and dear to my heart. And this was a nice segue from going from the mayor's office to working for a nonprofit. Our Goodwill, has half of the state of Connecticut. We don't have the Bridgeport area, but half of the state of Connecticut, all of Rhode Island, and just a little sliver of like South Attleboro in Massachusetts. We have over 1,200 employees. We do about $50 million worth of retail a year,
Wow.
and we have about 22 stores and other donation areas, and we also have been growing in Rhode Island substantially. So
Yeah.
we're really excited about that. And all the money and all the proceeds go towards our operations and our mission of helping people that have barriers to work to help them to find work.
Now, let's talk a little bit about the mission as far as what's the mission of the industry and what types of programs does Goodwill?
Yeah, so our mission is to, when people have a barrier to work, whether it's from work or a barrier to work because of age, a barrier to work because of a disability,
Yep.
a barrier to work, first-generation American, ex-offender. We kind of break down the walls of that barrier to help them to find work, and we do it through job training.
Okay.
We do it through, Dress for Success, resume writing. When you stop at one of our career centers or you stop at one of our facilities, we'll walk through the entire step of what might be things that you need to accomplish in order to get employment. And we also do job training so you could work for us. So a lot of the people that do come and see us sometimes end up working for us.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, so, and we fund that through basically the donated goods. So through the generosity of donated goods funds primarily 80% of our costs. The other, 20% comes from the state of Connecticut through the Department of Developmental Services
Okay.
or the Department of Mental Health and Addiction.
Okay.
We also were really fortunate to get through Senator Blumenthal and Senator Murphy a grant to expand our ex-offender work.
Really?
And our ex-offender work started out of New Haven primarily. The mayor of New Haven, who I was friends with from my previous employment, had asked if we would help with people that were being released from prison to help them to find work. And so we did that, and we did that from our dollars, from our donated goods and our store sales, and we have had great success. That we became a leader in that niche of career centers. And our outcomes were so good that the federal government gave us a $500,000 grant about 2 years ago to continue doing that work.
Now, as far as fundraisers go through the organization, what are some of the bigger fundraisers you do throughout the year?
So we do, because our territory is vast, although
Right.
people would think at Rhode Island, Connecticut not being that big,
Yeah,
but
right.
it's actually, to get from New Haven to South Attleboro, it's a 2-hour ride. So,
Right.
but we do fundraising. We kind of have like an interesting view on fundraising. Fundraising really does help us. So we have a golf tournament in the New Haven area, and we have a golf tournament in the Rhode Island area.
Okay.
We also host, and we have for the last 30 years, is the largest fundraiser in the greater New Haven area, is an event called Fantasy of Lights.
Yes.
And that's a 2-mile loop in Lighthouse Park
Yep.
with light displays. So that will be opening up on November 21st, and
Okay.
then November 22nd will be, the first night is a free night.
Right.
We call it the kickoff night.
Right.
And then after that, it's $10 a car to go through. And, generations of folks have been coming to Fantasy of Lights, and this year's our 30th year. And it's all put together by volunteers and people, and the building trades. They come and they erect all the displays. The electrical union comes and wires all the displays. And then every night, people come and volunteer, and it's kind of like a community give back for large
Right.
corporations to come and be engaged in that.
And how did the idea of that come about?
Well, that was 30 years ago, so I wasn't there when it
Yeah, you were
happened. But I know, from Mal, our mutual
Yeah.
friend, how it happened was that Lucy Sirico was the development director there, and she had gone, I think it was in Broward County, Florida, something like that,
Okay.
where she saw a light display, and she thought that would be a perfect thing for us to do. And it has been very successful and a great event for families that want to volunteer to wish people a happy holiday season.
And now it opens on the 21st of...
21st is opening night,
Right.
and then every night after that, it's open until December 31st.
Okay.
So
That
New
was
Year's
gonna-
Eve is the last,
That was going to be the question, when
yeah.
does it close?
yeah, New Year's Eve. A couple of years that we tried getting to January 6th, which is a little Christmas and
Yeah.
stuff like that. But we found it, and I think the city would like it if we were to close up at the end of the year, so that's what we do now.
Right. Now, obviously, you're supported by the mayor of the city of New Haven,
Mhm.
who seems like a very nice guy. I've never met him.
Yeah, he's a little bit different than a lot of the other mayors in the fact that, he has not a hands-off way of doing things,
Okay.
but he has department heads that he empowers,
Right.
and he trusts, that do a really good job for the city of New Haven. We have a great relationship with them.
Right.
So, yeah, we're really excited about that. And we also have another partnership with them I could talk about maybe in the next segment that
Sure.
we have coming up. It's be a good conversation for us to have about a grant that we just recently got from the state of Connecticut. The governor signed it last Friday. And in our next segment, I'll tell you a little about it.
Well, let's talk about it. Let's continue it.
Yeah, so we applied for a grant
Mhm.
in the city of New Haven. It's a state grant. And so we have a store that's in the Westville section of New Haven.
Okay.
That's up by the Merritt Parkway.
Mhm.
It's kind of north of the harbor.
Right.
And that store and that neighborhood has really been struggling demographic-wise. That store has seen a lot of crime.
Right.
That whole area has been, plagued with, smash and grabs
Right.
and other things that are happening, everywhere in the country. And for retailers, and I'm sure you might have heard about other cities that have had problems with, people coming in and just grabbing stuff and leaving
Right.
and all that other stuff and all of the things that are associated with that. So that's what we were experiencing there. And most retailers, when these things are happening, just, close the door and they walk away.
Right.
And they go to another place that would be, successful for them. But what we've decided to do was to work with the city of New Haven and work with the state of Connecticut, and it's also on the Woodbridge, the town of Woodbridge line.
Sure.
To work with the town of Woodbridge to help to revitalize that area instead of just leaving. Let's revitalize that area and let's go through a process of figuring out what would be the best thing for that area that would offer services and support for
Mhm.
people that live there, so to improve the quality of life for everyone.
Right. Wow.
Yeah, so that's what we're doing. So we got a $250,000 planning grant.
Yep.
We plan to meet with other nonprofits, food pantries, maybe even the police department for a substation, and to create, a better experience for people that live there and work there and not just abandon it. So the $250,000 is a planning grant. We put that money, together towards planning, and then the next step would be to go to the state of Connecticut and to show them the partners, that we've partnered up, that, by doing a needs assessment in the community.
Sure.
And if it's a Goodwill store, then we'll build a Goodwill store. If it's more service-related, then we'll do service-related activities. And if it's calling in other nonprofits to partner or other agencies to partner, everything is on the table for consideration to help with the renaissance of that area.
Right. And as far as in the system that you guys have, how many stores do you have?
So we have 22 stores.
Okay.
And another exciting thing that's going on with our agency and our Goodwill
Mhm.
is that we also have all of Rhode Island.
Right.
And we are opening up a new store in Warwick, West Warwick,
Okay.
Rhode Island. And we also have a factory there that was our program space.
Okay.
And it was a warehouse space. But we are totally renovating that facility, so it'll be e-commerce.
Mhm.
We do a lot in e-commerce on shopgoodwill.com
Right.
or Goodwill Finds. So anybody listening can just go on that right now and plug in, the favorite thing that you've been looking for, or something
Right.
that you had as a young one, and you wanted to, see if they're still
And see if
around.
it's there.
G.I. Joes, Barbie dolls.
Yeah, right.
Trains or whatever, but you'd be surprised because Goodwill Finds and Shop Goodwill, all the Goodwills across the country participate in it, so it's really a good thing. So in Rhode Island, we'll be renovating that. We'll have our e-commerce. We're also going to have an outlet store like we have in Hamden, where if something doesn't sell in one of our Goodwill stores,
Mhm.
we then, instead of just putting it in salvage for rags or
Right.
whatever case might be, we bring it to the outlet store and we sell it at a greatly reduced price. So we have an outlet store in Hamden on State Street.
Sure.
And we do really well there, but we'd like to replicate what we do in Hamden in Providence. So it'll have a program space for people
Okay.
that want services. It'll have a warehouse for trucking and handling of material
Right.
donations. It'll have an outlet store and it'll have an e-commerce section.
Now, as far as programs and services you guys offer, can we maybe talk a
Sure,
little bit
yeah.
about those?
So, if you have a loved one that has a barrier to work and needs help, basically, if the person could work as an individual,
Yeah.
then we would call that our individual employment program. And then that person would have a job coach that would help them to get their job.
Right.
Check on them on a regular time and their employer to make sure that they're doing their job correctly and successful.
Okay.
And if the person that got the job doesn't like the job, how to exit a job professionally so you don't ruin it for somebody else.
Exactly.
And so all kinds of support for individuals. But we also have the group employment, and that would be if they work better in a group
Right.
or as a team. And then that person will get 100% support from a job coach. They'll have a van, we pick up, which we pay for. The van goes and picks up the folks from their neighborhoods, brings them to the center. From the center, they decide where they want to work. We believe very strongly that the people that we serve choose where they want to work, and we don't choose for them.
Right.
But a lot of them like to work for grocery stores, for retailers, for banks, or whatever the case might be, and they would work in the group employment. So
Right.
that would be a group of 6, maybe to 8 people that would work with a job coach. The job coach would be with them for the entire day.
Yep.
And then they would come back at the end of the day, and at the end of the week, they'd get, their salaries.
Right.
And everybody makes, minimum wage or up. Nobody
Mhm.
gets a sub-minimum wage, which used to be an issue.
Right.
Across the country. So everybody works, everybody gets paid. And then we have the community reentry program, and that's people that have left the prison system.
Okay.
Have gone through their probation and are looking for work. So they help them to make better choices in their lives, and by giving them employment and a career.
Now, as far as that program goes, it's pretty successful.
That program has been really successful. But we don't, we have separate facilities for these types of programs, where the person with a disability, goes into a safe environment there.
Right.
But the people that would be in community reentry folks, they do in a safe environment there.
Right.
And so that would be in the Westville section of New Haven that we do the community reentry work. And we also have career centers.
Really?
A lot of our stores, we build a room about the size of this room.
Okay.
That we would call a career center. And so if you're shopping at the Goodwill store and you say, hey, can you tell me what jobs are available, not only at Goodwill, but in this region, we can
Right.
print that off for you and help you to get on the path of employment.
And now, what's it like working for a Goodwill store? Is it fun and upbeat?
Oh, yeah, yeah, and I think one of the reasons that we have, really good retention rate, retailers, have a lot of turnover,
Oh, yeah.
younger people that, come and then go and go back to school or go find another job. We have a really good retention rate because we usually team up our employees with another coworker that can help them to be successful and help them to be successful either internally at our Goodwill to grow or somewhere else, But, so we're really successful at creating a really positive culture. And all of our store managers, work really hard at showing their support, for folks. And I think the key to our success has been that kind of culture.
Oh, yeah.
The supportive culture for our employees.
And I'm sure everybody works well together in all the stores.
Oh, yeah.
And your distribution areas.
Oh, yeah, yeah. So, yeah, it's been really, really good.
Now, as far as you guys obviously are a nonprofit organization and you guys get funding from the state and the feds, correct?
Yeah, so we get, so like I said earlier, 70 or 80% of our funding comes from our own business model.
Yep.
Our social enterprise of the donated goods.
Mhm.
That is primarily how we fund things. So even if, and then a small portion, $2 or $3 million out of the $50 million comes from the Department of Developmental Services.
Yep.
Another small part comes from DEMIS, and then a small part from the federal money that we got for community reentry. But even if that money was to dry up for whatever reason, we would still operate
Right.
as long as people continue to donate and see the good that we do.
Now, as far as the stores go, is everybody's inventory different, or is it pretty much
It
the
is,
same?
it's geographic. So, the Groton store, because the Groton store has a lot of the Coast Guard Academy,
Right,
the
yeah, yeah.
bases there, the
Yeah,
Navy
sure.
bases there. We get a lot of that type of stuff, there. And in New Haven would be a whole different thing, it'd be mostly Yale items
Right.
and things from Yale and books and things like that. So, yeah, we get, it all depends. And so we're really excited about what we're going to be getting from the Old Saybrook area. And if you look at the demographics, Old Saybrook is one of the more affluent communities in our territory, especially with Fenwick and that
Right.
whole area. So and that's why we chose this as the place to open up our first boutique store, which again is on the 14th of November. We'll be opening up, 9 o'clock in the morning.
Now, as far as the boutique store goes, one thing we didn't talk about are hours of operation.
Yeah, so that will be open, from 9 in the morning
Okay.
until 7 at night,
Okay.
maybe 8 at night. I'm
Okay.
not sure exactly, but all of our stores are open to 8 or 9 o'clock at night.
Oh, are they?
Yeah. And so that store is going to be kind of really unique, and if you want to, down the road,
Yeah.
we could do a broadcast or
Well-
a clip from there, because I know you and I have done some remotes
Yes.
before in the past, so, yeah, I'd be happy to do that,
Yeah, that'd
have
be
you meet
fine.
some of the people that, work with us, and maybe one day, it might be a good idea for us to just, instead of talking, the retail that fund all of this stuff.
Right.
It's just to visit maybe some of the mission side of it, so you could see people actually stopping in and receiving services.
We could do that.
That would be
And
awesome.
I think that,
Yeah.
that would be a learning experience, and I think that would be a lot of fun to get out on the road and just sit down and maybe talk to some people about what types of services
Yeah.
they get.
And I also have some clips I could send you of people that have been interviewed and people that we've helped make better choices and help with their career paths.
And I'm sure people that work in the retail stores have probably been there a while.
Yeah, we had, I have some people that have been there longer than I have.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah. So the other day, we had a woman that's been with us for 40 years, 30 years, 25 years, and a lot of them came right out of school, and this was their first job, and they stayed.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. That's pretty,
Yeah, you really have to see
That's
it.
saying something.
And the one thing that's most interesting is when people come to visit, they basically say, we didn't know Goodwill does that, because they think of us as just a thrift store, and they see the Goodwill and they donate. So
Right.
they think of it either as donations or just like a retailer, and they don't see behind the scenes. And when I say behind the scenes, I just don't mean in the back of the store. I'm
Right.
talking about the career centers and all the facilities that we have where we provide the services, the fleet of trucks, not to move product, but to move people
Right.
to their jobs and
Right.
get them home safely.
And I'm sure you have the fleet of trucks to move product as well.
Oh, yeah, we got that too. Yeah. So-
And as far as if you want more information, they should just go to the website.
Yeah, so
go to
the name
Google.
of our website,
Yeah.
it's just Goodwill of Southern New England. So you just put that in your,
Google it.
search it, Goodwill of Southern New England, and you'll see our territory, our finances. We're very transparent about what we do and how we do it.
And as far as, we've got a little bit more time left, so let's talk about Fantasy of Lights again.
Yeah, so right now, as we're speaking, the building trades, the operating engineers, the electrical union are all out there. If anybody would like to volunteer, please give us a call, 203-777-2000. You can just talk to anybody, that receptionist, if that you'd like to volunteer. We're always looking for volunteers. We're really excited. We're also sponsors, for, a couple of $100, you could sponsor a display,
Right.
and we would put the name of your restaurant, Luigi's Restaurant,
Right,
come
exactly.
and visit, and then when people come, they can see that. And we also have a radio station that when you pull in,
Yeah.
the light displays,
Is synchronized?
kind of synchronized. It's
So-
more of a repeat message, but,
Oh, okay.
and we'd be happy to promote,
Right.
you,
Whatever.
or the show, or
Yeah.
whatever, on that. So when people come by, they know who our partners are, like you.
Cool. Well, it's I didn't know that.
Yeah, really exciting stuff.
I did not know that. And usually when you guys do the Fantasy of Lights, it's either really nice or freezing cold.
Yeah, Fantasy of Lights is, so people, the best nights that we have,
Yeah.
it's not when it's warm,
Right.
and it's not when it's too cold. It's nice when, it's maybe 30 or 20-something degrees and a little bit of snow, and everybody gets in the holiday spirit.
Exactly.
And that's what it's all about.
Right,
And the
no,
volunteers are there to help. The city of New Haven has been great, the Parks Department. And it's been a display, a venue
Mhm.
that for 30 years, and we always thought, with technology today, kids can pick up their phone and get all kinds of, wonderful technology just
Right.
in their pocket and their cell phone. So, when you see a light display of Santa going like that, is
Exactly.
that still going to work? And it does.
It does.
Yeah,
Sure it does.
So.
No, it absolutely does. And we're about to run out of time, but before we do, I just want to thank you for coming down, and hopefully we'll see.
It's always great to see you, and for the last 20 years, I think you were the first person to interview me as president of Goodwill Industries and here in Southern New England, and so I'm glad to be back again. Thanks,
Rich
Pete.
Borer, thanks for
All the
coming.
best.
On behalf of Rich Borer, I'm Pete Mezzetti. Thanks, good night, and we'll see you next time.